Hello, my fellow barbarians. This is the Barbarian Pod coming at you today with my co-host MDA Gaming,
What's up, everybody?
and then our guest for today is going to be Sheepto. Please tell me. I always butcher your name. I'm sorry.
You're good. Hey guys, this is Shapito, and I'm the leader for Age of Barbarism.
Awesome, awesome. So we're going to go ahead and just start off with our territory war info. Uh, Sheep, I'll just get begins, and I'll tell that info. I'll let you do the age one. So for returns, we ended up running a Darkside Hoth, not Darkside Hoth, Darkside Geo, 22 stars and 29 watt. Not bad, guys. I would have loved to have a couple more watt, but watt run can be a little risky sometimes. And then our last two territory wars were wins. I think they were full clears, which good job, guys. Keep kicking butt. I'll turn over the age stats to you.
Yeah, so this past Darkside Geo, we got 23 watt shards, and same story as begins or returns that we could have gotten a couple more. I think people are still learning how to do the watt mission, so I definitely expect we'll see probably another, hopefully 5 by the next time it rolls around, if not 2, because more people are ready for it. And this past time, we only got 13 stars when we were expecting 16. And that's mostly because people aren't totally aware of how territory battle works and the timing of it. There were definitely a couple stars stolen because we preloaded incorrectly or we just weren't paying attention to assignments. So I think next time the run will be smoother and everyone will definitely be better rewarded.
Very good. And then I think my stats that I have for begins here is they ran Darkside Hoth. They got 20 stars, and I think they improved by 8 if the stats that they told me were right, because I think last Darkside Geo they did 12, and then this time they got 20, so that's an 8-star boost. That's like pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty impressive. And then they got 1 IPD shard, and I think their last 2 territory runs were, I think, zeros. And I don't think they won either one of them. But they told me that one of their territory wars, basically, some guy put up like a very overpowered Jedi Revan team, and they just couldn't clear it, and they just got stuck by one team, which happens a lot at that GP range, which kind of sucks. But yeah.
The same thing actually happened to Age. We won one of our territory wars, but the second one, we just got straight up walled by an SLKR. We thought we could maybe try getting through it. We threw like 15 teams at it, and just no one had the firepower. So now we know, avoid those guys.
Yeah, that's rough. I think up next segment's going to be our questions for the week. And so we had a couple. I think going forward, we're just going to, whenever a podcast is posted, we'll ask for you guys to just have some questions for us. And just, it can be anything. We really don't care. Just kind of keep it Swog related. I mean, I guess you could ask just what we think about a certain topic or something, but just keep it Swog related for the most part. And so we'll go first questions from Bowser. He asks, what do you believe is more important / has more urgency? Improving your roster as a whole to have more good teams, or getting a whole R5 team to Crankcore, even if it makes you a little top heavy? So does anyone else want to go first on answering this one, or y'all want me to go?
Yeah, I got you here. That's a good question. I think, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a it's a collecting game, so you're obviously trying to collect and improve your roster. I think it is important to have one team that is and I think that really should be like your arena team, and improving them all to be really, really good. And I think like they said, the R5 is what you're going to want to go for here. And with that being your arena team, and also if they're good in Crankcore, that would be something that is beneficial as well. And there might be a little bit of a GP kind of bloat with it, but I think you want to have at least one, at least when you're starting or when you're molding your roster. I do think that it's a good idea to you make one team and like you push your materials there. And again, it should be something that is going to do well. So like a Padme or a Darth Revan, Jedi Knight Revan, or if you go the Galactic Legends route first, have that team there. I think you should have one that you can do that with. So yeah, I would say it's definitely, I would say it's a good idea to do that.
I would say like it depending on like it's all this really kind of depends on like where you're at in the game. Like if you're around like a 1 mil or like just pushing 2 mil GP roster, then like maybe having a full R5 team is probably not the best idea because it's going to be a lot of bloat. But like if you're in the 3 mil, 4 mil range, then yeah, it's okay to bring a lot of teams to R5 because you have I guess, the size to do it more or less. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I have an approach that's a little more similar to Rock's in that I think it's great to take like MDA is saying, you take one team as high as you can reasonably get for where your roster is in the game. And once that one team kind of caps out, like it's just taking way too much effort to keep it growing, then you start to branch out and you build up all the other teams together and you lift those as one, raise the base ability of your entire roster, and then once again you push all your resources back into that top team. And I think that kind of investment strategy is what will get you furthest the fastest.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree. Next question here is from our good man Hindo. This is more of a general question, but where do you see the guilds, begins, age, returns in say 6 months from now? It'd be good to see what you'd expect slash predict, even if you have no confidence in what you say, as predictions could be proven wrong easily. It'd still be nice to have an idea. So I guess I'll go ahead and speak for returns. In 6 months, I'd hope we're beating Crankor at least. That'd be just nice to go ahead and beat Crankor. Really don't have any other expectations than just that. I mean, if we can beat it, that'd be awesome. That's really all I see for it. And then I'll let Chapito take over where he sees age in a couple
Yeah,
months.
I think the next thing that age will unlock for itself is light side geo. I think in 6 months we could not, compete in it in any significant way, but at least get people familiar with what that territory battle is like, as well as understanding what GP you really need for those combat missions. I think we're already doing really solid with our raids, and I think just in more months' time too, just after the merger, that everyone will get more familiar with each other as a group, and I think we'll really start to see some fun dynamics play out as everyone gets more comfortable with each other. So I think it's pretty exciting coming into this next 6 months.
I agree. And I hate to speak for begins without an officer being here, but I guess for them in 6 months, I would say a good shooting point for them is to be able to do dark side geo. And same as you guys are getting used to light side geo, but they should start getting used to dark side geo as well. What tunes are needed for platoons? What are good teams to use for combat missions? What's good kill orders, stuff like that. And I think that should
Totally.
be their next step going forward.
I actually have an addition for begins because I have one of my friends who's in begins. I think one of the realistic goals I think in the next 6 months um, is to be able to complete the Sith raid without serious
Yeah.
help from mercs. Because the tank raid is pretty simple as long as you got like, a G10 CLS and some stuff, you can pretty much beat the pit raid. And the tank raid is it's a up the ladder a little bit in terms of difficulty, but it's not too difficult. Whereas the Sith raid, it was one of those. I remember when I first came into Begins, we had to have mercs come in and help us beat the Sith raid, and it's definitely one of those. It's difficult, and a lot of really good rewards come from the Sith raid. So I would say, like you said about Dark Side Geo, that's all important. But I would say if within the next 6 months, I think it's being able to beat the Sith raid without heavily relying on mercs, or just being able to finish it within a couple hours, or or like in a day, as opposed to maybe a couple days.
Hmm. I think I'd agree. Just having just the Gear 12 every day that you get is just awesome from there. And then we'll go
Does,
to our next question. Oh, Shapito, you want to say
just
something?
so, yeah, just one question. Does Begin still use mercs? I thought they
No.
kind of filled those slots.
Yeah, no. They're not really looking in the mercs because I think they're still. Last I checked, they were doing tier 5, but someone might have to correct me on that when this comes out. on the
Okay. I wasn't sure necessarily where they were at in terms of the levels, but I would say is being able to beat the heroic Sith rate, I would say,
yeah.
is a big one.
I think they're doing heroic pit and tank, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think for sure heroic pit and tank. Again, anyone in begins, feel free to correct us here, but um, heroic pit is huge. Getting Treya shards and just all the gear and stuff that you get is huge.
Yeah. All right. Next question here from Obi-Wan Chewie. What are your recommended relic levels for Cam? What is the best team position like the Geo team? What kind of mods do you put on your characters and what's the general strategy? And I don't think anyone in this group are really either know Cam strategy or really Cam ready, but from what I've picked up, it seems that I think like the Geo mission, like the Watt mission, I think it's a minimum relic 3 to get everyone ready. But I think if you want a good chance at beating it, you want R5. Is from what I've kind
Yeah,
of been.
from what I've heard, it's R5, and really, um, honestly, any relic level isn't bad to put on. And again, because most of those characters, they're all good characters, so
Yeah,
it's not the worst thing to put high relics on them, but it's for sure R5 is to make the RNG a little less RNG. Um, so from what I think I'm curious to see with more people getting Bad Batch. I'm curious to see if Bad Batch will be more efficient than using Shock and clones, but for the time being, it's Shock and clones. I would say it's just R5 across the board.
yeah.
Can you use Bad Batch in the Cam mission? I thought you specifically had to use the 501st plus shock.
Oh, I think it's just
No, it's just Arc Trooper. Arc Trooper is the only one that you have to use. It's clones.
Oh,
It's clones, Shock T, and then you have to use Arc Trooper. Which before Bad Batch came out, it didn't make sense to use Clone Sergeant or Cody just because their kits were nerfed by the Reek, so it just didn't make sense. But Bad Batch is interesting. From the short couple videos that I've seen, it's still a little hit and miss, but again, not that many territory battles have happened, so I'm willing to give it a little bit more time to see if anything really comes from it. But
for sure, for sure.
I think the
they
next
don't
thing.
really. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say we could jump to the Geo team for the team position.
That's about what I was just about to say. From what I hear, there's no order that you need to put them in. It doesn't really matter, just as long as Shock T's first. Doesn't really matter after that. What kind of mods? For modding, I would go ahead and Obi. I would there's the Hotbot has a command called 50 cam, and basically what it will do is it'll take your current modding for your team, and it will basically kind of give you a cool little checklist of what mod stats you need to reach. I think it's like minimum 300 speed on Rex and stuff like that. It will tell you, oh, you have your 300 speed on Rex, good, and it'll tell you what you need. And if you want mods, that's probably gonna be your best bet. If we're looking at mods, it's gonna be 50 cam. And then
Mm,
strategy, I'd be honest, I don't really know strategy for the most part. There are a lot of infographics out there that kind of teach kill order or how you do if someone does a certain move. So I think that can kind of help. Whenever this is done, I'll DM you a bunch of pictures of stuff. If hopefully that helps.
Main thing that I'll
Does
give you
anyone?
with the cam mission is with regards to modding. From what I understand, it's mod all your characters for health as opposed to protection because trampled takes away your protection, um, speed, offense, that sort of thing. The other thing is with trampled, you can't attack out of turn. So again, 50 shards of cam has had a couple different builds to where whether you speed, you do a speed build for Echo or an offense build for Echo. There's a couple different ways. The kill order's there, and then maintaining who you want the trampled on is also there. But like Rock said, 50 shards of cam, they've done a really good job. There's I believe have a Discord server as
Yeah,
well as you can just look it up and it's out there.
yeah. I think they have a Discord server. So next up we got Peach. I didn't put your whole name in here. I'm sorry, bud. But this question is: when you farm mods for a character, do you focus on one stat at a time, or hit all the bases at one go? I.e., get them to a certain speed, then focus on getting their potency / damage where you want it, or focus on having everything you want in one mod. And it's that's kind of like it's kind of a weird question. I would say like you kind of want to do it all at once, because like if you focus on one thing at a time, then while you're moving mods around, then one thing kind of goes away. Like say for example,
Yeah.
like you're modding Dooku and you want him 300 speed with you want him 300 speed with about I'm trying to think like 300 speed with like 80 potency, and say you get the speed right, and then you're like, oh well, I lost my 80% potency, now I'm at 75. And it's just kind of that. It's just kind of hard to balance when you do it like one stat at a time. But if you're kind of doing it all in one go, it's like every time you switch out a mod, you're like, all right, here's where I'm at. What can I do to get it better? And so I would just say I would focus all at one time.
Yeah, mods are kind of funny. It kind of comes down to a character by character thing, but I think if I'm understanding what you're asking here, obviously with mods, I think we can all just say, speed's going to be important. You always want to have the speed there, but how I know I go with mods, I always look at the certain character leaderships and the different character kits. One of the main things that I do, I'm trying to think of a character that I was recently just remodding. Let's just take Candace. So I was wanting to get Candace because I have Candace's Zeta, which when someone taunts Death Mark, he gets crit damage up. And how I wanted him to be able to use that is I wanted to guarantee that I could be critting all the time. So my goal that I wanted to get from him was, depending on the leadership that I was using, I want his crit chance to be 100%. So I'm taking into account things that are built into his kit, what his starting levels are, and then kind of going from there. So I'd say for some characters, there's certain stat thresholds that you want to reach. But it depends on team comp. It depends on their kits. Modding is kind of one of those things that there's kind of not really a right or wrong answer with it. And there's a lot of variables to it.
Yeah, I'd agree. Jabito, you got anything to say on this question?
No, I mean, I think you guys covered it. It's just like you're saying, it's extremely variable. There, like some tunes, like Candace, you need one certain stat. Other ones, you're just kind of hoping to get maximum speed because you want them to start off the TM train. Other ones, you're looking at whatever the best mix of whatever mods you have available, and you're putting them where you can. It's really hard to give a blanket answer.
All right. Next, and our final question is going to be from King of Losing. How far are we completing Crancor? I think this is a returns question, and is a question that should be in the next podcast to give guildmates a good idea of how far we've gone and how much progress we have left. So I think like in the first question, or well, from Hendo's question, honestly, like I would hope that we're like, it's gonna kind of sound like a old war movie, but I hope by Christmas time we're getting it done. That would be like the longest I would hope that we get it done by. Like I'm shooting more for like an October, August kind of hope for me is when I would love to get it done. But realistically, I think it's gonna be more of a November, December kind of thing. But a lot of this also depends on like how fast people can farm up a Crancor team, what Crancor teams we farm up, how many people want to farm up that Vader team, which honestly I hope everyone does because that's probably the best team for this raid. And honestly, I like where we're at right now. Like we're able to beat P1 pretty easily. Like I think MDA knows. Like we get it done pretty quick now. It's
Yeah, P1 we finished pretty fast because I'd say the first time that we recorded the first episode, I think we were beating P1, but that was about it.
yeah.
We will beat P1 usually within about like a couple hours. We can beat P1 pretty quickly. P2, I think maybe on occasions we've beat it or we get pretty close to beating it.
We beat it. We beat P2 one time, but we did have help from Oliver's account that is no
Yeah.
longer with us. He had to take a break from the game, and so that kind of
So
sucked for us. But
I would
I
say it's
think
just
on you go. I'm sorry.
no, so I think it's just as we steadily just increase increase the amount of teams that we have available, as in, people are going to be getting GLs, people are going to be getting more R5 plus teams. I think we're capped right now at just basically how fast we can increase our rosters, either free to play or whaling. It's just I think I agree with you. I think October and November would be really kind of best case, but I think worst case I think it's December.
Yeah, and I think like we're at the point now where we can get halfway to P2 done, even without some of the bigger accounts. Last time we ran it, we got halfway with P2, and we had Hindy's new account wasn't in yet, and so we didn't have that damage from him, and we didn't have the damage from his old account either, and so we lost a lot of damage just from that on its own. And so I think next we have one up right now as of this time of recording that everyone needs to join and participate. So hopefully, I wish we did this pod 2 days in advance because I mean 2 days later, my bad, we would have probably had more accurate information for you. So what is next on the segment? We got
Looks like we got a roster building here.
yeah,
Yeah.
which we kind of talked on a little bit in one of the questions, but I think we can get a little bit more in depth on it, which would be good.
Yeah.
So I would say like I'll go ahead and start. Like our first little topic here is just like marking off key teams. Like I think like every roster should have a Vader. Every roster should have a Padme team. Every roster should have a Geo team. That's just like I call that my like trifecta for roster building is that those three teams just having them will give you success in lots of areas in this game.
I think too, for all our newer players, getting Phoenix is just a really easy way to put yourself ahead of everyone else that isn't paying attention to the game. They're really easy to gear up. You only need to get them to like gear 7, gear 8. They even give you Thrawn, which is really nice. And I think they help take our begins players to the next level of the early game.
Yeah, I'd agree. Early game is really farming Phoenix, getting Phoenix ready to get Vader. And then, Vader's a stud on his own. You can do a lot with him.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that most people should have their first Veda go on to Vader for his merciless massacre. That alone doubles his power and opens so many doors for somebody.
He
I
should
think
be your
some
first route
underrated
too.
additions here. I remember when I was working with one of my friends in Begins. I made him. I don't know if he's accelerated yet, but I think some of these characters, like you're talking about with Thrawn and Vader, is important to farm up. Is Piet, Moff Gideon, and Dark Trooper. Now that Gideon and Dark Trooper are put on the early farm list, but even if you're not going to do those two, I think Piet is huge, especially if you go Vader, just because with how good Vader is, Piet just adds to him. And it's also like that's when you eventually make a Troopers team, like Piet is kind of what takes the Troopers from like a Knight's Sister bounty hunter killing team to a GL killing team. But just early game having Piet, you can really punch up with an Empire team like the teams that you can beat. So I think that's another character that like of the early game of like Ross like teams that you should be farming. Like you said, Padme, Geos, Phoenix, like all those teams. I think when you're looking at the Empire team, I think Piet should be a character that should like be included with that list of like, oh, you want to go for them first.
Yeah,
I'd
I
agree. I think
completely forgot about Piet.
it's just hard because
And that
he's still a one shard farm. It's a lot easier to get Gideon because that's a 10 cost Cantina node, while Piet is still one shard at a time.
He should be coming around pretty soon though, because he was added. Because like I'm tracking for, because Jedi Knight Luke was added about a year ago. His event should be coming to the Journey Guide, and I know Piet was added either before him or after him, but it was definitely like, it should be coming pretty soon. That he should be accelerated.
Yeah, as soon as he's accelerated, I would definitely say that he would be a priority farm for an early roster.
Let's see here.
Do we want to move to more like a mid game or late game for key teams?
I'd say let's go ahead, Rock.
I would say this. One last thing. I think when you're looking for like a core team to farm, think about what. Don't try to farm like, and you're in the early game. Don't try to farm a team that's just going to give you one use. Like, I like M
Sure.
Troopers and all, but like once you farm them, that's it. That's all you're gonna get out of them is just an M Trooper team. But like Phoenix is gonna get you. It's gonna get you. It's gonna get you Thrawn. It's gonna get you Palp, and then those two are gonna get you R2, which R2 will then get you CLS, and then having CLS will get you Jedi Knight Luke. And so just trying to farm teams that lead up to something instead of farming like dead end farms. Like another like dead end farm would be like First Order or like Resistance. Unless you're going for a GL, then that's not a dead end farm. Like that's what I would say for early game players, and then we can start talking about the mid to late game guys. If y'all want to
One
go
of the things
ahead.
that I think this ties in with early to mid game is I think this was a point that we either were gonna bring up, but like just right after this, or it's basically included with this with dual uses for your tunes and squads, which it can be interpreted as, you want a TB team as well as, a Grand Arena team. But I would take this as farm characters that are pilots and like get their ships as well. Everyone hates ships. It's because it doesn't have the content to support itself. But ships is starting to become really, really crucial to the game, to the core game experience. And having the gear invested in pilots, and especially if they're good characters like the Vaders, the Jedi Knight Anakins, the Kylo Ren unmasks, the Kylo Ren unmasked, the Hans and the Chewies. Like again, these are good characters that are good in like Squad Arena and TB and all that, but just the ships is important, and in fact, you'll make more crystals from ships in Fleet Arena every day than you will from Squad Arena. So I would say don't ignore ships. It's a pain in the ass to do, and especially farming the ships is tedious, but it's really important.
Because a lot of people don't rush ships early game. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's ships. It's not fun." But those people that do rush it get top 10 every day, and they get 200, 300 crystals a day just for taking 10th place.
I think what's really hard about ships for the early player is that if you fall behind the wagon even just a little bit and you don't get into that initial, bunch of people that are shooting for top 50 in your fleet arena, then you're not going to be getting any crystal rewards. So it's kind of like you have to know from the gate that you should be farming ships, because if you don't, then you're just never going to get rewards from them in any way that matters.
Yeah, I'd agree. But then I would also say that if you should always be saving all your get to for Negotiator Malevolence, either one.
For sure.
Both of those ships can take the top 10, depending on your shard.
Yeah, that's like your redemption, is that if you didn't get into that, the initial craze, maybe you just had a couple crazy fails in your shard, you still, if you get into a good guild like ours, you can redeem yourself by focusing for that negotiator or that malevolence, and then boom, you're back up there in the top, and then you can start steamrolling everyone around you and get a really cool roster.
You have something to say, MDA?
I would say let's transition to personal farming and guild farming. I think that's a good place to
Yeah.
transition to there, because it's definitely one of those things that it sucks. There's times where I think you want to either farm a certain faction that you want to farm just because you like them, or you're trying to go for a certain legendary character, but you might be sacrificing like a TP team in order to do that. And I think it's you got to find you have to find a balance with it. But I would say the good thing though with I can't really see too many issues with TB teams, because most of the teams required in TB, like maybe with exception to like Lightside Hoth, most of the teams are like good teams that you want to have though.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
They're all very meta.
Because like
The
I'm just trying to
only-
think off the top of my head, it's Padme, it's like clones, it's Geos,
JTR Mon Mothma.
yeah, JTR Mon Mothma, which at this point they're still solid teams, but they have uses for GLs, and then for Crankcore, that's just R5 teams, which I would say if you took any of those teams that we just mentioned, maybe with exception to JTR and Mon Mothma, but if you took like
And
Padme
Geos.
and Geos, yeah, if you took like Padme clones to R5, like that's a Crankcore team right there, and you can at least do something and contribute.
But then also both of those teams are very good in Squad Arena. So those
Yeah.
can also transition to be your Squad Arena team as well. Also very good in GAC and Territory War as well.
I think a good related question to this is when is it appropriate for someone to start farming something like JKR and Darth Revan, or for their roster to start focusing on something like Gas or Malik? Like when should someone transition into farming power tunes that don't necessarily lead elsewhere in the game?
I'm actually
I would say,
go ahead,
go.
Rock. Okay. I actually have heard when it comes to the early game experience, it's actually I would say, like, obviously you either have like your Phoenix routes, you have your Separatist route, and you go for Padme. I've actually seen some recommendations that you farm Old Republic first, because Republic is, once you get the characters, like once you unlock JKR and you unlock Darth Revan, you more or less already have the core team in place, and you don't need to farm anyone else. Like with let's take CLS. If you go for CLS, you have to get Raid Han, you have to get Chewie, you have to get C3PO. Like, that's in order for that team to really click. And then I would say you have to add Chupio on top of that. In order for that team to click, that's what you got to do. Padme's a little less intensive with General Kenobi being the main kind of harder character to unlock with, because it's tied to a raid, and then C3PO. But like, you're still having to farm additional characters outside of once you unlock that one. Whereas with the Revans, the characters that you use in the event will go towards your team. So like, if you put all your resources into Bastila and Jolie, you've already got 3 out of the 4, or 3 out of your Jedi team there. With Darth Revan, you had Dark Bastila and HK, and then you get Darth Revan, and then all of those there will go towards getting Malik, which that in and of itself right there, Darth Revan is still, I would say, like the second, like, because like obviously GLs are in the tier by themselves, but like Darth Revan's still like in the next meta after that. Like, I would say it's Gas, Darth Revan, Padme. I'm trying to think.
Definitely still an A tier team. Yeah, I agree with you there.
So it's again, but it's the old Republic farms are harder to get, and you're not getting the benefits with ships, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, if you have a good Darth Revan, Jedi Knight Revan team, there's not much that you can't do. Like Grand Arena, you're going to be doing well. Squad Arena, you're going to be doing well.
They'll do well in TB.
They're great in TB, and then also like Jedi Revan is like really crucial for almost every raid. Darth Revan, not so much. He's good, but
He's
not
good.
as
He's
not as
good
good
for
as
like quick damage. He's more of
yeah.
a quick damage team.
But it's because I mean Darth Revan teams, Sith Empire, they get 4v4, 4 out of 4s in Darkside Geo.
Oh, easy.
Yeah. So again, it's a route that you can take in the early game. It's I wouldn't say it's any better or worse than what's tried and true, but again, it kind of depends on what you really want to do and what you're fine with grinding.
To go back to Shapito's original question, like for me, like for my alt account, I went for gas. And when I sat there and I really decided that I wanted to go for gas, I first wanted to make sure that I had an arena team set up and ready to go. And this is the same for like anyone who wants to go for a GL. I would say, or like anyone that wants to go for a long farm, like Jedi Luke, Gas, Malik, a GL, get your arena team and your fleet arena team set. Because once you decide to go on one of those long farms, it like for me, it was a solid 4 to 5 months of farming for gas. Because I started from scratch on the droids, on the separatist droids, and it took me forever to get them geared up and start up. It took me a solid 4 months. And during that time, if I didn't have a good squad arena team, I would have just been stuck in my like payout. And so I think if you're going for one of those long farms, that you have to make sure that you have that Jedi Revan or that Padme or that GG team or that Darth Revan team to make sure that you're able to get a good payout and get more crystals to help with the farm.
I think that's a really good right there.
And the same with I think the same goes with fleet. I think you can't neglect fleet for so long, because even if you're getting the 50s, extra 50 crystals every day, that's nice. That's an extra regular refresh. That's a mod refresh or a ship refresh every day that you get for free.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my whole take on it, is make sure you get like your squad arena teams, that like probably the most important team you form, and you want to make sure you get that on lock before you start doing anything else.
Which
So
I think goes back to our original idea of you really want to get one team maxed out, and you want to make sure it's a team that you like playing with and that you enjoy looking at, right? Because you're going to be using them all the time. And then once you have that one down, you get a team down that your guild in general needs, whether that's geos for WAD or something with the raids. And then after that, it might be a good time to start doing your personal farms that are a little more fun and a little less focused. That's probably a good general route for a roster.
yeah, like I would say, if you go and if the guild asks you to farm something and you farm it, go ahead and farm up a Phoenix team to gear 12, or go ahead and get you some scoundrels. Go ahead and take a fun farm, because as long as you do what your guild asks, and as long as you get your fun out of the game, because at the end of the day, this is a game. It's all about it's supposed to be fun. If farming, you know, scoundrels makes you happy in this game, go for it. But I will say that there's also a guild aspect to it as well. And there's some things that are bigger than just your personal roster. And so I think you need to take that into an account when you're farming stuff, is to try to help out your guild mates.
Totally. Which
So,
I think reflects too on the guild offers of we shouldn't be asking so much of our guildies that they never feel like they have time to get their personal farms in. We have to be selective about the kind of pressure that we apply so that people respond positively and that they still enjoy the experience.
agreed. Do y'all have anything else y'all like to say about just like general roster building?
I'm good.
No, I'm good.
MDA? All right, so we're going to our next segment. Hello there. I'm gonna go ahead and welcome some new guildies that have come into our various guilds. We'll start off with Begins. Couple of new people, new faces in Begins. We got the High Ground, Crocky Mofo. We have Sayavage, and Empire Eats Tacos. Love the name. Really, that's probably my favorite out of all of them. And then I'll go ahead and say the new faces over here in age. We have Sloth Spanker. Please, I would not advise you guys to go slap some sloths. That's not nice. Mighty Mammal and Seki Rankport. Also, very good name, you sir. If you're listening to this, very good choice in a name. And then
I
we
like
have
all
three
three of those
guys. We have three guys that just recently joined returns. We have Nukatuki, Anton, and Heiner. I hope I pronounced that last one right. So
And that's exciting for you guys, right? Because two of those are some old friends that you're getting to rejoin.
yeah, they
now.
are some old friends. So Ant used to be in returns a long time ago, and he used to run our territory wars. And life got a little bit too busy for him, and so he went to join a guild that was a little bit more casual. That was okay if he took like 2 or 3 days off, not doing anything, not getting tickets or anything like that. And then Newt used to be a officer in Age, and
Oh,
when he joined the game, Age was his first guild, and he was always an officer from like literally. I think he was like 200K GP, and we asked for some volunteers for officer, and he stepped up. And so he was an officer for a solid year playing the game. And so he wanted to go join a guild where, he didn't have to be an officer just so he can get the different experience. But we're glad they're back. Love those guys. Always a fun time having them around.
Newt's actually he was part of the team that recruited me when I first our little clan. So it's exciting to see him again.
Oh, it's small world, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
go on to our next topic. We'll go on to what you're farming. Just, I guess, whichever one of you guys wants to say what you're farming right now, go ahead and go for it.
Sure, I'll start off. I guess right now my very shortest farm is I'm finally getting C3 unlocked. I've got the Ewoks maybe 10 or 15,000 more GP before I can do it. So that's exciting. Just getting closer to my gas farm. And then on the side, I'm giving any gear that I have to tunes that are needed for gas, and then anything that needs stars I'm giving to resistance, and on my long road to eventually getting Galactic Legend of Ray.
Very nice, very nice. I'll go next. Save MDA for last this go around. On my junior account, I've just been hoarding. I haven't been farming anything. Uh, just saving up gear. I think I'm at like 300 stun guns, about 500 golden eyeballs, 480 stun cuffs. I'm at 600 Carbantes with a fully crafted one, so it's really like 650. And then I think for Kairos, I have 100 of the stun rods, and then I have about 320 of the computers. And so I've just been hoarding. Basically, this is kind of my mindset right now on that account is I'm waiting for the requirements for Jedi Master Kenobi to come out. If the last couple of requirements are really good, meaning that like there's no cam, there's no like really stupid character, then I'm just about to splurge on the horde and start farming for Jedi Master Kenobi. But if his requirements turn out to be terrible, aka cam is a requirement, then I'll probably just gear up like another Crank War team. That's where I'm at on that account. And then on senior, I'm just farming for JML on that account. And I think just recently I got since the last podcast, I think I got Han Solo done, which if you anyone here has an opportunity to relic Han Solo, please do it. Oh, it's so awesome. Dude hits for like 100K on his opening attack and just like you literally start a battle 4v5 because he just kills the first person on his own. It's amazing. But
Wow.
I have like one more. I have my R2 at R6, which I think tomorrow he'll be R7, and then after that I can work on Biggs, getting Biggs up. And Biggs should take me 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4 days for Biggs, and then after that I'll work on JTR and the rest of the crew for that guy, for that JML. All right, MDA, what you been farming, bud?
So we are on the JML grind right now, but the main thing is we got to get JKL. So I am waiting for JKL to come back into the journey guide, which should be within the next couple of weeks.
I think he's gonna come out. It's either gonna come out like in 2 weeks or he's gonna come out in July. I can't remember though.
Which I'm okay with because The only thing holding me back is a 7-star Wampa. I have Wampa's last gear 11 piece already made, and I have all of his gear 12, or I guess his gear 13 pieces already hoarded. And then I have all the relic materials to take him to R3. And then we're just going to go at the events. I'm thinking about either I might stream the JKL events here on Discord, or hopefully I'll be up on YouTube and we can get it going there. And then as of right now, I am hoarding all the materials to take Luke straight to R7. And I'm also working on his mods so that I can just slap them all on with 6 mods once we're ready to go. I've got all of Luke's gear 13 pieces, and I have all the relic materials to take him to R7. So I've got all the different signal datas and all the different relic materials, which was a little bit of a pain, but not too bad. So now we are farming the golden eyeballs, Carbantes, Kyratech, which makes me want to cry because I need like 300 Kyratech, and the golden eyeballs just take forever. When I think I need like he has like 6 fully crafted golden eyeball pieces, which is just
It's ridiculous.
it's a lot. But and then after that, it's just going to be JML stuff. So it's just I have not started farming Mon Mothma and Chupio yet. I'm waiting for, as of right now, my hard node farms that I'm doing is Anakin's ship, which I'm almost done. I'm at like 66 out of 100. And then Republic Y-Wing, which is like, I'm like 46 out of 65. That ship is just taking forever.
I would suggest going for Chupio over Mon Mothma. Like, do more refreshes for Chupio than Mon Mothma because he's going to
Oh,
help
yeah,
seal
for sure.
more than Mon Mothma.
Yeah, because I have all of my CLS team at relics right now. Han is at like relic 1, and I think Chewbacca is at like relic 3, which even relic 1 Han like hits pretty hard. So I can only imagine when I take him to R6, like the damage
You'll
we're gonna
have
be
so much
pumping out.
fun.
But yeah, so it's nice. Like farming's pretty easy. When I come in, it's pretty much just like, I only put one attempt into these ships, and then it's just farming more relic materials and then farming gear. Good thing is, since we're simming all these raids, I have plenty of guild event tokens, and I'm just going in buying gear. And then Wampa's gonna take a bit. I'm at like 45 out of 85, so I'm hoping within like 2 months we can have him done. But I usually place like top 15 or higher in the Sith raid, and then I usually hit Kyber in GAC, so I'm get one from there. But yeah, it's a grind.
Yeah, for sure. So last segment we got for this one is going to be the stonks of the week or weeks, however you want to prefer it. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with Jimmy. Pulled a 50 shard bronzium pack for 5s. P Dub got a JML, brought his JML the relic. Very good job. That's very awesome. Peace Grab got Jedi Anakin shipped to relic 7. Very good as well. Chapito got 50 Clone Wars Chewie shards. That's a good one, bud.
Super fun.
Art Best got a fully crafted Garbante from the Bronziums. Man, you are just killing the Bronzium packs this week. We had Darth Malgus or Free Arnold got a Relic 7 cam on his main account. Very awesome. He was showing off his mods on it. He was saying that his basic, he was able to get like a good 80K on a basic with an R7 cam. And I'm like, that's awesome. Trent got Watt and Neg from the last Darkside GOTB. Congratulations. Those are 2 awesome tunes. And then we got Porgans, who unlocked the Neg as well from the last TB. Awesome. And then I think the stonk of the week goes to our good friend Squiffy, who has unlocked Sith Eternal Emperor, my bad. And he's right now. Yeah, give a round of applause for that
Way to
one.
go, man.
Yeah, congratulations. So that's it for us. That's all of our segments. we're still trying to figure out the ends of this pod and how we want to get it rolling. So we tried to switch up, or I tried to switch up the order in which we did things from the last one. If anyone has any suggestions on like how we can get this thing rolling smoothly with our segments that we have, or if anyone has any segment ideas that we can do than what we currently have, we have a channel in the community chat that is podcasts, questions, suggestions, and topics. Go ahead and just ask there. I'll probably clear this channel soon, just so that way we can get it clear for the next one, so that way we don't answer any of the same questions as last time. But that's it from us, guys. So I'll go ahead and say my goodbyes.
Yeah, thanks for having me this week, guys. That was fun.
Thanks for joining us.
Of course, anytime. We love to have you specifically, but we love to have anyone who wants to come on and talk. It's always nice, as you know, we talk all the time in Discord, but it's nice to kind of, you know, meet here and kind of chat it up.
Yeah, for sure. Usually we try for the most part, we try to have an officer join, but I think we might experiment with having members join, just regular members come and join the pod. So if anyone is interested in just joining a pod just as a member, go ahead and give me a DM and I'll try to see if we can fit you in for one. But that's it from us, guys. We appreciate you guys listening, and I hope this gives some insight to some of you guys. Best of wishes, everyone.
Solid.
on,
We'll
Barb.
catch you on the flip.
Yeah, catch you on the flip.